Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a furniture artist. My business is called RelovedMCR. I wanted to explain how I've arrived at where I am today, what my influences are, how I work, what the commission process involves, about workshops, about my influences, really everything to do with my business. I started out originally working on pieces of furniture just for my own pleasure, really. I was still working in PR, and I worked most of my career in PR. And when I went part-time, I started to get back into upcycling furniture. Fast forward, a stylist friend of mine said, "Oh, why don't you maybe start putting them out there on Instagram and on social media platforms," which I did. And the hobby slowly started to take over. People started to come to me for commissions, and very, very gradually I made the transition from working in PR to working for myself as a furniture artist. In terms of my influences and the way that I choose to present my work and create my work, I guess you broadly put it into the maximalist category. I am very influenced by my travels, particularly to Morocco. So I love colour and texture and pattern. But I'm also very influenced by my early career working in fashion and beauty PR, spending lots of time backstage with creatives, artists, makeup artists, stylists, photographers, all kind of creating these kind of magical scenes and magical theatre and pantomime, really. In terms of style, I don't follow trends. I always shop vintage from when I can remember. Many of the items in my house, always since I bought my first flat in London, were from markets. I've always upcycled. So I've been really fortunate in the last few years to have been invited to create designs for quite a few interesting people. The first one was probably the designer Pearl Lowe, who was fantastic, and I was involved in her launching her wallpaper range at the time, and I created a cabinet for her using one of her new wallpaper designs in wisteria. Then I was invited by Farrow and Ball to do something for their window in Manchester, which was an amazing opportunity to showcase my work. Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen is the most recent one, which was really fun. He reached out to me on Instagram and said, "Oh, would you be able to put some pieces in my shop?" I said, "Okay, great," so I did. I've had some really brilliant customers, and many of whom have kind of shouted my name from the rooftops on social media, which has been really helpful. These days, probably 75% of my work is commission based. One of the most common questions I get asked is it more expensive? People think, oh, it's a bespoke thing, it's going to be really expensive. The reality is it's no more expensive to buy something from me on a commission basis than it would be if I created something, put it on my website for sale, and it was for sale off the peg, if you like. Because at the end of the day, it's about work and the work that goes into it. They're all hand-done items, hand-created pieces of furniture. The only difference is commissions are where a customer will come to me and say, right, I've got a room or several rooms or a shop or a commercial space, and say, I would like to have certain items around that will serve for this function. It might be a sideboard, or it might be something for their bedroom, whatever it might be. And I usually, if I'm local, I will go to the space physically and have a quick look around to get an idea of what their taste and aesthetic is. If I'm not, which is most of the time the case, I'll Zoom, get them to send loads of pictures, or sometimes if they're decorating, they'll show me a mood board or Pinterest board that they've been saving. They'll usually give me a fairly good idea about the kind of work that I've done, that I've showcased on my Instagram, that they like. So once I've got a really good idea about kind of what they're about and what they need, I then come up with a few ideas. Most of the time I source a piece of furniture myself. or they'll want to source it, send it to me, and off we go. Once we've come up with a design, I'll give a really clear idea about how much it's going to cost, and that comes down to how much is it all hand painted and it's going to take perhaps more time, or is it perhaps decoupage and I can buy in the material. It's slightly quicker, even if the material itself is quite expensive. It's generally cheaper than all hand painting. And then I'll give them an approximate lead time, agree a price, agree a lead time. Usually it's about 6 weeks. And then I'll normally keep them posted. I'll always tell a customer when I've started something. I like to give them little updates as I'm going along, either by video or just pictures. I just want to give my customers something that they will love forever and really reflects them and that they're proud to own, that looks amazing in their house and that they just love. But really my job is to interpret what their aspirations are, reading between the lines, and give them perhaps something bigger, better, more extra than they perhaps could have ever imagined in their own minds. So hopefully that kind of sums up the process. So about 4 years ago, I kept on being asked, do I run workshops to teach some of the skills that I use in my furniture? And I thought, yeah, okay, why not? So I started quite regular, once or twice monthly workshops, day workshops at a really fantastic venue called Parmenter. It's a vintage emporium in Stockport. And we just spend the day and we have a laugh. It could be decoupage that we're talking about that day, or it could be, I run one called Distressed and Guilty, which is about how to gold leaf and apply metallics, films and skins and finishes onto everyday items, and how to kind of make them glamorous and distressed and gold but not blingy. I mean, I've done so many different ones. I try to come up with different ones about every 6 months or so to keep it fresh. But I get people from all over the country, literally all over the country, coming up for the day. And sometimes I make a weekend of it and so a group of people will come up sometimes. I keep the classes really small, either 5 or 6, absolutely maximum. What's lovely about the workshops is that it's very sort of leveling, lots of different kinds of people coming from all different sort of realms of life, if you like, and all parts of the country. It's amazing, even the most reserved people that think they're really shy kind of often will email me or message me after the workshop saying they just found it really liberating. And I think there's something very liberating about the workshops, to be honest. I think they're very they're just a really warm, kind of all-inclusive environment, and gives people an opportunity that a lot of people that come aren't doing creative jobs, and something about the creative process is really great for your well-being. And I found being creative just about the most effective therapy for the ups and downs of life.